So if you are in sales and you feel like you're doing too many things manually, then this video is for you, because we're gonna talk about how you can automate a lot of the stuff you probably hate doing manually anyways. In front of me, I have n8n. We're gonna be breaking down every part of your sales funnel, talking about how you can automate things like, for example, when a new lead comes in, when you cut off a sales call, and so on and so forth. But before we dive into that, here's why it matters. Forbes released an article that said sales reps, on average, they spend 35% of their time on calls, which means that they spend 65% of their time doing boring admin work that could otherwise literally just be automated. And so in this video, we're talking about how we can automate a lot of this 65% so you can spend more time on the call, which means that there's gonna be more money in your pocket. And specifically, there's 3 outcomes of this particular workflow. Number 1 is to automate bookings, so that instead of you having to chase people down, because let's face it, like a lot of sales reps spend a lot of time calling people every single day. And we also know that it takes like, I don't know, like on average 8 follow-up calls to get a hold of somebody. Let's just automate that process, so then instead of you chasing people down, they're coming to you. Okay. Number 2 is how we can automate the process of upsells so that we can make more money by doing no extra work. And for me personally, using the system I'm going to show you, I made 10% more profit, top line revenue off of this exact system. And the last thing is how we can actually save time so that you can spend that on closing more deals or just take that time off. For me, I save about 100 minutes every single person. And I've actually used this exact system on my last 2 businesses, of which we've hired 25 full-time sales reps. We've tested this on 40,000 leads. It's worked for me, worked for my clients. I'm sure it's going to work for you as well. The blueprints are going to be down below for free if you guys want to go ahead and use this. All right, let's get into this. So the first workflow is the new lead workflow, and it has one purpose in mind. When somebody inquires on your website, we actually want to get them on the call as quickly as possible, and we want to have this completely automated so that you save your precious time. Now, there's a couple benefits that I want to talk about in this workflow first. Number 1, this is going to increase your conversion rate by nearly 400%, meaning you'll make 4 times the amount of money by not doing any extra work. Now, I personally haven't come across many things in life to get me that, but this workflow will do that for you, and I will show you how in a couple of seconds here. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to save you hopefully 30 minutes every single time this runs, or every single lead, because previously what you probably had to do is message people via email or text message, and all these follow-ups takes a lot of time, and this workflow is going to be automating that. And the last thing it's going to do is it's going to book calendar meetings on your behalf, so that instead of you chasing people down, constantly calling them and hitting voicemail every time, you're going to wake up with a day full of calendar meetings so that you can focus your time on selling people rather than chasing them down. Okay, so let's get into how this increases your conversion rate by 391%. In my community, Matt here shared a video by Alex Hermosi. I want to play this for you so that you can understand how this kind of works.
Now, I recently talked to a restoration company, and he told me he was converting 55% of his leads, not calls, leads. And I was like, well, how many leads a day do you get? He said 2 or 3. Okay, so what's the process? He's like, oh, it's really simple. My aunt, I pay her $60,000 a year, and she has only one job. She has no responsibility in the company. Besides, the moment a lead comes in, you stop having sex with your husband, you stop cooking, you stop loving your child, and you immediately call the lead. That's the only responsibility. She just has to make 3 calls a day at the moment the leads come in. He pays her $60,000, and that brings in millions of dollars of revenue. Now, I recently
So the key point there is that you have to call this person immediately when they fill out this form on your website. So let's go ahead and test out this workflow. So I've started the workflow, which is only going to happen after somebody fills out this particular form on your website. And within a matter of a couple seconds, like you can see with my phone here, you'll get a call from the system. I'm going to put this on speakerphone.
Please press any key on the keypad to connect in with your new lead Jono cat list.
I'm going to press a key on the keypad, and what's going to happen here is the system is going to automatically call me, and then once I pick up, it's going to automatically call the client and then connect us together within a call. Okay, I'm not going to actually go ahead and call myself, so I'm going to end that call, but that's essentially how the system works. And this is how we can increase our conversion rate by 4-fold just by calling somebody faster. And this automation does exactly that. Now, how this works, and we're going to explain the rest of the workflow here, but how this part works is we're using a CRM called Go High Level. This is a paid CRM. However, if you don't want to use money, how we can do this is we can send ourselves a notification with a free tool like, for example, simple telegram. So as soon as, for instance, somebody fills out that form, we can automatically send that user's information to us, including their phone number. All we have to do is tap that phone number in the Telegram message, and we're on the call with that person within 15 seconds or less. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the rest of this workflow, and it's going to be down below for free, and I'll link to another video on how you can build this out. But essentially, first things first is when that form is submitted, we're going to add somebody into our CRM. So we can see here that we've taken all the details from that sales call, like their first name, like their last name, like their email, phone number, date, and all whatever it is that they filled out on your form, and we can add that into our CRM. Now I use Google Sheets here because I don't want to like paywall you behind like $100 CRM like HubSpot, Salesforce, or Go High Level. We're just starting out for free, and then you can migrate this into whatever CRM you want. And we're also listing the status here, okay? And that's important because now we can track where people are at in the life cycle journey. Now the last section of this workflow is actually just sending out notifications or emails and text messages to that particular lead that just inquired with your service. So we can send out an email, for example, using Gmail. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Hey Jono, thanks for contacting our business. It's a pleasure to meet you. If you're available to chat now, I can call you. If not, you can book on this link here. And as soon as somebody takes that link, they can now schedule a call. Why this matters is because if somebody, let's say you're off for the weekend, somebody fills out the form Friday night, they can book a call automatically, and they can be talking to you on Monday morning instead of you having to chase that person down. And of course, we can send follow-up emails as well. Let me show you how to do this for free, and then I'll give you a better alternative that is paid. Now, how we can schedule follow-up, like secondary, tertiary messages, is we can wait at a certain interval. Let's say we want to wait 1 day before we send the second email. Next thing is we can have this search row here where we are going to search for that user's email, okay? And once it finds somebody in the CRM with that email, we can get access to all of the other information. One of the pieces we want is the status. And once we find the status, we can filter out to make sure that we only send follow-up emails to people that are truly at the new lead stage, because we probably don't want to send follow-up emails to somebody asking them to book a call if they just had the sales call, or if we're following up with them after the sales call, or if they signed the contract. And if they're still at that stage, we can send them off an email just saying, hey, wanted to schedule a call, and so on and so forth. Now, an alternative to this is using a paid tool like Go High Level or like ActiveCampaign. And the reason why is because n8n is not built for these kind of workflow sequences by sending off multiple emails at a given time. And here is why. I don't want to go into a rabbit hole about this, but if you take a look at Go High Level, not only can you send off all of these WhatsApp messages, emails, text messages, and so on and so forth at certain cadences, so you could wait a day or 2 days or 4 days or whatever between sending them off. But the real beauty of a software like this is that you have settings that allow you to stop on response. So if somebody goes ahead and books that sales call, or if somebody goes ahead and replies to your email, you can stop sending follow-up emails, because nothing is kind of, I never want to send an email to somebody asking them, hey, do you want to book a sales call with me, when they just had that sales call. And another thing we can do here as well is we can have time windows, which means that we only send emails and text messages when we want to send them off. So instead of sending them at 2 in the morning or on Sunday at 5 p.m., we can wait until Monday to Friday at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to send off those communications. Okay, sweet. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the sales call workflow. First, what it is and how it works, and then we're going to talk about why it matters. Now, when you're on a call with somebody, likely you're going to want to fill out the details or the information they provide you with. So for instance, if I'm selling SEO services, I might enter in a price for the package I'm going to offer that person, maybe give them a discount, understand when the deadline is by asking them, hey, when does this project need to be completed by? They'll tell me the date, maybe tell them I might ask them the problem, they might need help with SEO, I'll give them a solution. I'll write down all of these details, and as soon as that particular sales form has been submitted, we can go go ahead and generate documents, just like what we see here, okay? Now, why this matters is that, first of all, we can save 30 minutes every single time we generate a document like this. Before, you'd have to potentially come in here and fill in all of these fields and so on and so forth. And for me, like, that took 30 minutes every single time. So this is a huge game changer. The next thing that you can do here is you can attach optional upsells, which personally increase my bottom line by 10%. So an optional upsell could be, for instance, on this call, you might say, hey, are you also interested in ads as well? And they might say, well, I'm on the fence about it. And you can have an optional upsell here where if they're interested, they can check it off, and that will change the price. Or if they're not interested, they uncheck it and it's removed from the invoice. So when they go to sign, it will automatically prompt them to pay for the total value. Now, why this matters is because what's out of sight is out of mind. If you don't put your products and services in front of people, they're never gonna buy it. Just like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But if you put these products and services in front of people, some people will bite and you'll make more money, and that's just profit in your pocket. Cool. And the last thing is that we can focus on automated emails and text messages and all of that kind of stuff. So how this works is, of course, you'll have a sales call form. This is kind of what it looks like for me. I'll ask all the questions that I need to collect in order to create these documents automatically and send it off to a client. Next, we'll have this particular AI node here. And what this is doing is we're polishing off the agreement. So we have all of the information coming in from that form. And maybe we just write down frantically, some fields like what their problem is. They might need help with SEO and what the solution is. And maybe you have typos and spelling mistakes and all that kind of stuff. Using AI, we can polish this so that we can send it to the client immediately. So there is no mistakes, right? So we can take this information, create polished messages, and then include that inside this particular agreement. Again, I'm going to link to a video showing how you can build this out step by step. It'll be down below in the description. And then lastly, we're going to use this HTTP module to be able to generate these contracts in PandaDoc. Okay, it is a bit more complicated, but I walk through step by step how you can go ahead and build this out so that you can send these off programmatically. Now, the last thing that this actually does is we're going to go ahead and update this Google Sheet. So we're going to change the status from new lead to sales call, and then all of the information that we collected on this particular sales form is going to be automatically added into our CRM. This is perfect for data hygiene. It means that all of the data is going to be in one place, centralized. Okay, and then we can also send off an email to that particular lead saying, hey, thanks for your time. We've sent off the agreement via PandaDoc, and so on and so forth. Any text messages and emails can be automatically sent afterwards. Sweet. Now, the next step in the sequence is managing appointments. So on a call, usually I'll have a calendar, and I'm just going to zoom in so my face isn't blocking this, where I will book a follow-up call, because usually the call to action of any sales call is another call, because usually most people will not give you a definitive yes or no until a couple calls down the line. And so with that being said, on that initial call, we'll schedule another time to chat. And when that booking has been confirmed, we're going to start this next workflow, which will send off reminders to myself and also to the lead to actually show up for that appointment. Now, here's the benefits. First of all, if you were to send off these reminders to yourself and your lead, this could take 15 to 30 minutes doing this manually every single time. And also, another thing is like, if you don't send off these notifications, the chances of that person no-showing or forgetting about the appointment is pretty high. And also, if you don't remind yourself, there's times where you might not show up as well. I mean, that's definitely happened to me. It happens to people on my team as well. I'm sure it happens as well. And also, we can re-engage leads that either cancel or no-show. Unfortunately, not everyone makes it to the call, but we can engage those people to get them to book another call. And we're going to be explaining that in a couple seconds here. Now, let's talk about when somebody goes ahead and books this follow-up call. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to update their status to follow up over here so that we can keep track of where they are in the sales funnel. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually search for that person one more time in Google Sheets to pull up all the information. So we're searching by their email. In this Google Sheets, we're going to find the row that contains all of that client's information. The reason we're doing this is because we can now pull up all of the information, like the status all the way down to the website here. So we have access to it in this n8n workflow. And then what we're going to do is we're going to send ourselves a reminder. Essentially, in this reminder, we're just saying, hey, you have a new appointment booked with this person's name, whatever their name is. In this case, it's Jono. And here's the date of that appointment. And you can also go ahead and send off a client an email just thanking them for booking. Cool, pretty standard stuff. Thanks for booking. If you need to cancel or reschedule, here is the link here. We're gonna go over this in a couple seconds. And then lastly, we can also send additional text messages or emails leading up to the date of the appointment. So a day before, 30 minutes before, we can also follow up and send reminders for them to jump on the call so that they don't miss it. Now, of course, not everyone's going to go ahead and jump on the call. And that's why I always have in these emails a link for them to go ahead and cancel. So if you need to reschedule or if you need to cancel, hit this link, which will take them to a page like this where they can reschedule or they can cancel. If they go ahead and reschedule, it will literally just start the workflow again with this bottom trigger. But if they go ahead and cancel, it'll start this next workflow. Now, some people might think, why would you ever give somebody an option to cancel? And the reason I do is because if somebody's going to cancel, they're just going to no-show, and I would rather not waste my time and show up to a meeting where nobody's going to attend. I'd rather instead open that time slot up so that I can get a new lead that will close to book on that exact time slot. And so for this reason, that's why I do this. And with this workflow down here, the only purpose is once they cancel is to re-engage that person. Sometimes things come up, emergencies happen, they have to step away. Doesn't mean that they won't reschedule for a later point in time and close the deal. And so with a workflow like this, as soon as they automatically cancel, we can change their status here and then follow up with a link to your calendar to book another call. So this is an example of an email there where we link back to the calendar for them to jump back on another call. Sweet. Now, after the appointment setting, the last two stages here, I'm going to merge into one, are the contract sign stage and the deposit paid. So if you recall, we sent off the sales agreement after the initial sales call we had with that person. And there's two actions here. They can sign, and once they've signed, they'll be prompted to immediately pay. Now, unfortunately, not every single time somebody goes ahead and signs an agreement down here, they're going to pay immediately. Sometimes it takes a month or 3 months or whatever the case may be. But that's a problem if especially for cash flow reasons. And so with a workflow like this, the whole goal here is to get that person to go ahead and pay as soon as possible. And so what this does, what the benefit is it's going to save you 15 minutes every single time somebody signs by following up with them to get them to pay. And also, hopefully this will increase sales, because who knows, maybe some people will drop off and never actually end up paying that agreement. Cool. So how this works is we're going to go ahead and test this out. First of all, when that payment comes through, we're going to filter, because every single time PandaDoc, some status changes, like the document's created, the document's signed, the document's paid, and there's a lot of other statuses. This webhook is going to fire here. And we only want to filter it based on whether the person has signed but hasn't paid yet. So again, they've signed, they haven't paid. And that status is called document.waiting. Okay, I'm actually going to deactivate this and restart this workflow so we can take a look and see what happens here. So it's going to pass this filter because they've signed but not paid. Then it's going to email them just asking them, hey, can you go ahead and very gently pay so that we're all set here and we're good to go. And you can send off as many of these emails as you want. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and of course update that CRM so that we can see the status now is signed. Sweet. Cool. And the last step here is when they've actually gone ahead and they've paid that agreement over here, we can automate this process as well by sending them emails, just thanking them for paying, and then maybe even connect them into our customer relationship manager or doing things like automated accounting, bookkeeping, or project management. So how this works, same kind of deal. When they go ahead and sign, I'm just going to deactivate this. When they go ahead and sign, they'll pass the stage. We'll email them, just thanking them, and then we'll update the stage to paid over here. Now, lastly, of course, we could enter this into QuickBooks, make a payment there so that all of a sudden you're recording your bookkeeping in your accounting software. You could have project management systems rolled out after this. The options are essentially endless. But in a nutshell, what this whole system does for you is it automates the sales funnel to accomplish three things. Automate the process of booking appointments. So that instead of you chasing people down and spending all your time reaching voicemails, instead you can have people coming to you and book appointments to speak with you. Secondly, what it's going to do is it's going to increase the amount of money that you can actually make. And we do this through two things. First of all, we can add optional upsells onto agreements so that some people are just going to be like, yeah, I'm willing to pay extra, and that's just more money in your pocket by offering products and services that you otherwise wouldn't have offered. And also by calling people way faster. If you call them within 60 seconds or less, you can increase your conversion rate by up to 391% or 4 times just by doing no extra work other than calling them faster than you otherwise would have. And then lastly, hopefully the system will allow you to save a lot of time. Now, personally, this saves me about 100 minutes every single person, and I'm sure that you can find some time savings by implementing solutions just like this as well. Lastly, guys, if you're interested in learning more about n8n, automation, artificial intelligence, all that kind of stuff, I would recommend you taking a look at my school community here. There's 3 transformations I take people through. First of all, learn these tools so that you can apply it to your life to save time or earn money. Secondly, it's to create your own AI automation agency where you can essentially sell these services to others. I'll help you find, close, and fulfill deals within 1 month or less. And lastly, if you have an existing business, I'll show you how you can automate up to 80% of it within 2 months. I'll give you the exact blueprints that worked for me to scale to 7 figures. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you found value in this. It helps me out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.